If you are struggling with compassion fatigue, emotional exhaustion, or overwhelm, today's guided meditation was created just for you. Give it a try.
Welcome. You are listening to Our Mindful Nature, a podcast helping healers and those searching for healing respond to anxiety, overwhelm, or depression with nature inspired meditations for better mental health. I'm your host and meditation teacher, Meryl Arnett. This podcast is recorded from my live Monday night meditation class. If you would like to access today's meditation practice or nature soundscape as a standalone audio file for your daily use, please subscribe to my newsletter at merylarnett.com. All right, y'all, grab a cup of tea, pop in your headphones, and find a comfy seat.
When struggling with emotional exhaustion, it can be easy to think you will never feel better again. In today's episode, you will learn what is compassion fatigue, how and why you need to change your meditation practice during emotional exhaustion, and you'll experience a guided meditation based in the wisdom of neuroscience and nature to balance your exhaustion and refill your cup. Today's episode is recorded from my live Monday night meditation class. Let's join in. Welcome, friends. I am glad to get to practice with you this evening. Um, and it has been quite a week in our house. We have been recovering from the flu and pneumonia and more flu and just a whole boatload of illness. It has not been fun. And, in our house, what that looked like was the kids missed a full week of school. That was fabulous because it just led right into this week, which is winter break. So 2 weeks in a row of no school. And also caring for a friend that wasn't feeling well and caring for the world that isn't feeling well and trying to work and do all the things. And I found myself late last week feeling so utterly exhausted, so emotionally drained that I had this moment where I thought, I might never be able to feel anything again. Like I might just be done. It was so heavy. It was such a overwhelmingly exhausted feeling. And of course, immediately I was like, so what does our meditation practice do for this? Right? Because I think I would probably describe that feeling as compassion fatigue. Okay. Which I think is something that a lot of us are either have experienced or are experiencing or at least are familiar with, right? And I just pulled up a definition of it for us tonight. And what I read was compassion fatigue is a state of emotional exhaustion, burnout, and reduced empathy that occurs in individuals who regularly witness or care for others who experience trauma, suffering, or adversity. And I also read it could be described as the emotional residue from working or caring with others, the emotional residue. And I thought that so clearly encompassed what I was feeling in the moment. And I think often we, as people who care in the world, it's easy for us to experience that sense of heaviness or fatigue when it comes to our capacity to care, our capacity to engage. And so I started thinking about it as perhaps its own like little sort of small trauma response in the body, like too much feeling, too much demand on a self. And of course, we have to like rebound in some way, right? Our body has to say, no, no, I have to stop this because I'm depleted. And so the body does a little rebound. Our nervous system gets jacked up in many ways. And we have to find a way to not only settle ourselves into a place of safety, but then also refill ourselves so that we don't persist in that feeling of emotional exhaustion. So there is a really interesting PTSD treatment I had the privilege of getting to learn about and actually try out and experience for myself. Excuse me. And the treatment is essentially tracking a biomarker in the amygdala, which is like the deep center brain. This is where PTSD originates from, those fight, flight, freeze symptoms originate from. And in the treatment, you are cued to think of a memory. It could be of a place, it could be of a person, it could be music or any sound, a touch, a feeling, but you're cued to bring to mind a moment where you felt the most safe or the most joyful or connected or supported, and bring as much detail as you can to the mental strategy, to the memory. And as you do this in the treatment, of course, you're hooked up to all these monitors and you can see what your amygdala is doing. And you can see when you really do access one of these memories that feels safe and soothing, you can see your nervous system immediately start to downregulate. And I thought maybe we would bring this idea into our meditation practice tonight. So, this is a little bit different because typically we're not trying to influence how we feel in a meditation practice. We're just trying to be with how we feel, right? That's the normal experience in meditation. And in this practice, we are actually trying to influence how we feel because we're trying to put ourselves back together. So if I had to pick, I would lump this practice in what I would call like a band-aid practice, meaning a practice that I'm using in emotional distress versus like an everyday practice that I might do all the time. And so in the practice, I'm going to invite us to bring to mind a memory where we felt the most safe, the most supported or connected or joyful, and get as many of your senses into the memory as you can. So, like, what do I see? What do I smell? What do I hear? What do I taste? And we're going to let the experience of being in that visualization balance our nervous system out. And then hopefully we're going to draw some energy from it and sort of fill ourselves up a bit. Um, Let me think if there's anything else I want to say about this practice. I'll tell you, so my memory is actually a place. It's a particular hike that our family did a while back. Very short, it was like a 20-minute hike. This was no grand thing. We were just in the mountains of North Carolina. We found this little trail. We decided to do it. But what was significant for me about this hike is that it was all Douglas fir trees. The whole trail, it was just fir trees everywhere. And it smelled like Christmas. This was the middle of July. And we're walking through, it was very wooded, so it was shaded and damp, there's moss everywhere, and every step I'm like, "Oh my god, it smells like Christmas." And it was such a delightful sensorial experience. And when I was trying out this PTSD treatment, that's the memory I pulled from. And before I did that, I was trying like, let me deep breathe, let me like do a little meditative thing, none of which was working. I was like, my amygdala was all over the place. And then I was like, oh yeah, remember those Christmas tree hikes? And I started thinking about moss and the temperature and how damp it was and the way it felt to like walk through this little trail. And immediately on the screen, I could see my amygdala downregulating. So very simple. It wasn't some huge grand moment. It was 20 minutes in the woods like a year ago. But for me, even now, that's what I go to when I want to regulate. And so for each of us, we will also pick our own little memory for the practice tonight. Yeah, let's try it. So take a minute, get yourself comfortable. Invite yourself to sit or to lie in a way that feels the most supported as you can possibly find this evening. If you want to get a blanket, if you want to put socks on your feet, whatever you need to get comfy, you will take time to do that. And together as a group, we'll take a deep breath in and we'll exhale out a sigh. Inhaling in deeply and exhaling out a sigh. And allowing your breath just to flow. And naming for yourself here and now. Now is my time to meditate. Now is my time to meditate. And as we say those words to ourselves, we call all of ourself here. The tired part, the sick part, the overwhelmed part, the worried part, the exhausted part. We let ourselves land fully exactly as we are in this moment. If you feel heavy tonight, you let yourself be heavy. And rather than brace against or resist, we will do our best just to soften a bit. Let go of any gripping through your feet, through your calves, through your thighs. Imagine relaxing your belly and the muscles through your back. Imagine softening any tightness or any gripping in your chest, especially the center of the chest. Letting go of your shoulders. Imagining your neck relaxing, your jaw. Let go of your eyes and your forehead. And see if for a moment you can just take in the entirety of yourself in this moment. Seated here or lying here. You breathe easily and naturally. And if you like, you might, just in your mind's eye, draw a circle around yourself. A circle that serves as a level of protection. A way to hold at bay the outside world. a way to hold at bay all the demands, all the needs, all the worries. And even as this circle holds the line, we know that this boundary is permeable. This boundary that holds at bay the distractions. It lets in exactly what is needed. And so you take a moment to simply feel yourself breathing here. Both supported and protected. And you'll take a moment to bring to mind a memory of a place, a person, a piece of art, a song. A place where you felt the safest, the most connected and alive you have ever felt. And as you bring this memory to mind, without any need to rush or force, let yourself explore the memory with your senses. Letting yourself see, letting yourself hear, letting yourself smell, and taste. And feel into this memory. And as we settle into about 10 minutes in silence, you can continue to walk through the memory, activating your senses along the way. And at some point, some place in this memory, invite yourself to sit down. To sit down and breathe right from the center of that memory. so that you are feeling the energy of that place, of that music, of that art. You are letting that energy move and vibrate through you, refilling your cup. We'll sit now, a few minutes in silence. Feel your breath here. Taking a moment just to savor the energy or the connection to this memory that you've called on. Maybe deepening your breath a touch so that you really feel into your body. Sending your awareness down through the torso. Letting the inhale expand you fully. Allowing the exhale to empty you out of any of that emotional residue. To wiggle your fingers, your toes, to find those edges. And only when you feel ready will you take a deep breath in. Exhale out a sigh. Taking all the time you need to let go of practice and to blink your eyes open when you're ready. Thank you, guys. All right, y'all. I hope this practice brought you a sense of peace, safety, and restoration. Several of my students mentioned they had a hard time picking a memory. There were so many to choose from. It is totally okay to do this practice multiple times and try out a different memory each time you practice. Notice for yourself which one gives you the strongest sense of safety and that sense of refilling your cup. Within this class, you should be able to identify when you're experiencing compassion fatigue, how to change your practice from noticing how you feel to influencing how you feel during emotional exhaustion, and how to use your senses within a memory to balance and reset your nervous system. Don't forget, we release new episodes every Thursday and a mini meditation only episode every Monday. Thank you guys so much for practicing with me today.
Thanks for listening to Our Mindful Nature. If you would like to receive today's meditation practice and nature soundscape as standalone audio files for your daily practice, please subscribe to my newsletter at merylarnett.com. It's free and you'll receive a new practice each week. Our Mindful Nature is recorded on Muskogee land and is produced with the support of Nick McMahon and Brianna Nielsen. Deep gratitude is offered to acoustic ecologist Nick McMahon and Gordon Hempton for the use of their nature field recordings in many of these episodes. We release a mini episode that's just the meditation, no chatter beforehand, every Monday. And every Thursday, we release a full episode with a meditation class or interview. I look forward to practicing with you again soon.